And you read our about EwA. So basically, in this space, you're going to be talking about your operations management, and the main objective. It's exactly to understand about how your operations works, what are the main KPIs. We should track in operations, and also how does it work when it comes to timeline and resource allocation. Cool. To start that, I want to like to tell you about AIAC, because we need to understand also whatever we do as organization, it's exactly what it should be aligned to our core. That AIAC, it's about exactly leadership. This is our core business. It's a leadership. And when you're talking about leadership, why we talk about that is because we have a vision that's very, very it's a very ambitious vision that we strive to achieve peace and fulfillment for mankind potential. And based on that, we believe that we should place our confidence in youth, but not only all the youths, but also we believe that those young people should be developing leadership. So but the main question that always comes to our minds as a young people is that how we can ignite the spark of leadership in more young people, but not only how we can ignite to young people, but also how we can reach more and more young people, because the idea is us to reach this vision, we need to have more and more young people involved and more young people engaged. And this is how the answers is engaged with AIAC. This is something that what I'm telling you here is something that you already know, because you have been already attending a couple of academies, or either you saw the information about EwA when it comes to innovation capacity that you released it. But exactly the essence of engage of AIAC is to have it's a phase of AIAC experience that includes all the programs and activities that spark the interest of young people with organization, but also gives also the young people the concept, the first time, like the concept of leadership development. But the thing is, like always, especially for last year and this year when you started working when it comes for EwA, we are always asking ourselves, like, what exactly, like when it comes to membership, what exactly we aim to achieve when you focus with that operation. And the answer is very simple, that is sustainability. Not only sustainability in very broadly context, but it means like exactly looking for the two main outcomes, that's youth engagement and financial sustainability. This is what you're looking for. And what does it mean exactly when it comes to an MCVP? To understand what is it yet youth engagement, is basically to ensure that all your initiatives are designed to spark interest in young people. They're having giving to young people the first time, like the concept of leadership. They're introducing the core is AIAC, but also we are also putting that telling the young people about what is it AIAC, and they can understand it, and giving them like a action towards our ELD programs. And for that, how you really measure yourself, like in terms of success, it's exactly the number of youth engaged that you have in each of the initiative. And from that, like for you to reach to number of young people that you are going to be engaged, there is always metrics that are related to operational funnel that you should look for that until you get for this final one. That the metrics are related to customer flow, metrics are related to experience, and metrics are related to the conversion. So basically, if you are looking for implementing EwA, basically you should look for one of the metrics for youth engagement is the number of young people. But if you want to do the breakdown of the planning, it means that you need to look for planning for sign up, planning for the young people that are engaged, and planning also for the young people that are paying for to be part of the initiative. And then you plan also the conversion so that you can see what is the issue that's happening in your funnel, from sign up to paid, from paid to engage to ELD, from engage to ELD sign up, and then for ELD sign up until ELD accepted to approval. For experience, basically you have metrics like the PS youth, youth response, and then the percent of response rate for youth. And last, the goal was achievement of youth engagement, because when you start planning for the program, you have a plan, but then you need to see how is it your performance comes to goal first achievement, to see if you're planning it right, or maybe your planning was so ambitious, or maybe there are something that you need to change in your planning in your planning as an MCVP and as an entity overall. For financial sustainability, something you need to understand is that all the EwA initiatives are really need planned to ensure positive ROI and with very clear income distribution. It means that you already plan taking in consideration that you're going to be having revenues. What are the areas that you're going to be revenues? It's going to be partners, and then youth, and then you have, if maybe you have a third part, and then all those revenues are enough to cover the cost and also giving the profit to the entity. This is something that you should take in consideration. And then for that, the main measurement of success is the amount of like the money, like the amount of revenue that you'll get from each of your program. And the breakdown, it starts, you need to look for the breakdown of planning for financial sustainability. I'm super related to partners flow, and also partners experience. And then you have also an additional one that's related to youth. It's more like in financial basis, like the contribution incomes for young people, and how you should check it. It's a partners flow. It's the flow. For instance, if you are coming from BD background, or if you are coming from IGTA or IGTE background, you know exactly, like for instance, the partners flow that comes from success, first contact leads, proposal sent, proposal confirmed, and contract signed. Then you have the conversion from each of the funnel. For experience, it's basically the NPS of the partners, and then the response of NPS, and then you have the response rate also for NPS of partners. Cool. And then you have the one of the biggest, something that I would recommend to, especially if you're implementing for the first time, and we are all recommending you to do planning exactly, it's to see how EwA is contributing to your MC budget, because if you put this amount of effort, you should see how is it the revenues, how is it how the revenues are behaving when it comes to EwA, and especially when it comes to like the MC budget overall. Then you have also the goal versus achievement, that's the revenue metric too, to see how are you planning when it comes to revenues for EwA, if you're achieving the revenues planned or not. All those metrics that I mentioned are for all the programs. If you are running adding for the future, if you are running Youth Speak, and if you in the future you are planning to run a local volunteer, like when the product comes back, you should also use the same metrics. And also if you are running your national initiative, that are all initiatives that you have in your entity that are compliant and aligned with the principles that are not those one. So make sure take in consideration that, please, I will just reinforce here, local volunteer is a program that's in dormant. So it means that you are not supposed to be running, especially right now that you are putting GV in dormant, and this is a program that's super dependent to GV. Questions. Now is the time for questions. We have 5 minutes for questions. You can go ask your questions there. If you're good to go with no question, you can just say that we are good to go. We have 5 minutes from now. If it's all clear, okay, we have a couple of questions in the chat box. Let me just see it. No questions, it's just wave. Perfect, everyone is clear. Amazing. So the current state here, I'm going to just showcase some data that I showed to your MCPs for them to understand based on the software that they submitted. How is it the current context? And I'm looking for 2 areas. That is, first is Youth Speak, and then national initiatives, because back then when you asked those questions, you were not in the process of implementing heading for the future. So see here, like for instance, in your region, you had like 3 entities that were running Youth Speak, and then from those entities, like from the entities that were running Youth Speak, we have a couple of entities that they started having Youth Speak survey, but mainly those are for entities from Europe. And then you have they have run already just like they are prepared, or they did not start it. They didn't do like any kind of survey at the majority one. For the entities that are running national initiatives, basically we have top entities inside the region here. And then we have exact 19 entities with the MC responsible for EwA. These 19, it was mainly for data of 2021. I believe now that the number will be increasing, especially when it comes to the amount of MCVBs that are being selected already for the function. Cool. And for engagement, you'll notice that actually we had in the first quarter of this year, we had more engagement in the national initiative because most of the entities put a lot of effort in doing national initiatives. We have around 15,923 compared to USIC that was only 3,866. This also comes again to like financial sustainability. National initiative had more revenue. That was 383,699 Canadian dollars compared to USIC that was only 32,053. And then we have exactly for revenues. For a percentage of contribution of revenues, we have for national initiative, it's still 12%, and for USIC was 17%. And then we have like for partners, we had partners 183 partners in national initiative and 68 in USIC. So what are the main things that I would like to ask you to think about? It's first one, it's what are the main bottlenecks that your entity is having to start if you want to start this year, or either to continue to operate in EwA, and then how you see the region to collaborate when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to innovation, for instance, inside the region for EwA, and then what is the outcome if your entity already started. What is the outcome when it comes to outcomes, like for instance, in terms of the metrics of youth and financial sustainability, what is the one that your entity is not achieving successful, and what are the things that you believe that should be improved for 21, 22? That's exactly your turn. For that, I'll play one song, one of the songs of the region that I collected in the previous spaces, and you can think about the questions. That you have. What are the main tools that you have when it comes to bottlenecks, of how your entity can improve, and also how the region can collaborate better for your operations? Whoever wants to share, you can go. I can see a couple of names here. Let me choose someone. Mehdi. Hello, Mehdi.
Oh, hello. Hey.
Hi.
Hey guys. Hello.
Hello.
Actually, I am not MCVP EVAR. I'm CVP IGV of I think MOC, but we don't have like one person totally in charge of EVAR. But actually, our product is now we are focused on our EVAR product since because since last year summer we like created a new EVAR product, and yeah, and it's mainly a website, and we will like have like challenges on that website, like related to SDG or social issue. Yeah, so the main bottlenecks for us is that the first one, we need to like we need more IR cooperation in our EVA project, because currently it's combined with virtual challenge and physical local volunteer, because all of our volunteers are like people like are domestic people. Yeah, so we need more II engagement. Yeah. And the second one is local education capacity, and because currently we don't have a very, I don't think our like SOP is doing very well. Yeah, so we need to improve the operation standards. Yeah, I think that's the two bottlenecks for us. And for how can the region collaborate? It's like because when I was doing the MC interview, like my MCP and my predecessor told me that every entity has very different EWA system. So I think the bottleneck for me is that I need to know like what EWA initiative every entity is doing, so that I can like to find more collaboration points and to like help our product to increase participants. Yeah. So, and the last one, what is the outcome? I think it's like the average operation level in our LC operation, because it's like we have 10 LCs right now, and like the top 3 LC is on track, and they are like finding their way to do the EWA project. But for like the left, like 4 to 5 LC, maybe they are still struggling with their HR structure or with their operation flow. So I think it's so I think I need to improve our like average level of the local operation. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mandy. So you see that there are different. First thing is that something that Mandy was mentioned was exactly the fact. For instance, for the region itself, there is a lot of initiatives that are going around, and like I think that there's this need of how you showcase and share with each other what you guys are doing, so that you can have more collaboration. And then when it comes to structure, in the context, external context, like the external context can affect or can be one of the bottlenecks for you to operate in EwA, especially if your program is not giving it's not exactly related to the market fit. Like for instance, you was explaining about education. And then the last one was and the last one was talk about the achievement, what can be improved is exactly like when it comes to restructure and how you work and collaborate with the LCs, because the LCs are the main one, the main body that's really implementing all the initiatives. So those are the things. You might be having another situations of or another bottlenecks or other things that you believe that can be improved to ensure the regional collaboration, or either like different situation of how you want to improve. Take this also summit for you to share with each other to see how you can improve your operations in EwA and be aligning with the metrics and achieving the goals that you want to plan to have it during plan. So overall, managing operational in EwA, something that I wanted to just give you also here as a disclaimer, because here we are MCVPs, and MCVPs has more ownership regarding the department and really can give better direction when it comes to the department. There are things that you need to understand of EwA, especially when it comes to management. The first thing is that for you to understand the management, you should understand exactly the funnel, how the funnel and process works, and then you need to understand the timeline, the duration of the initiative. For funnel and process, it's very similar to the one that you used to have if you're coming from an entity that was very used to run ELD. So normally all the activities and all the actions are related to the customer flow. And it's the same. There is also like the customer flow here for each of the initiatives that it's very similar to that. You have pre-attraction, attraction, consideration, preparation, experience, post-experience. And for you to see what are the activities that should be implemented, of course, for these scenarios, especially, is not something that you can find, for instance, on Expo, but as an entity, you can check in the product minimums, in the program minimums, what are the activities that are expected from each of the phase of the customer flow. And for you, specifically, there is high synergy that should happen between the EwA responsible and the marketing person. And then for partners, it follows also the partners flow. If you are coming from an entity that was working with IGTA or IGTE, there's also partners flow. So in here you check the program minimums also to see what you need to implement, and there is also high synergy between the EwA person in the sales team or the BD. If you are BD too, it means that you need to have a high synergy with yourself when it comes to implementing EwA itself. For timeline, normally minimum it takes exactly 3 months for you to implement one initiative, but this is exception of Heading for the Future that takes exactly 4 months that are recommended. So basically each entity should look forward to see more likely you can implement only 2 initiatives per year, so that you can give you like time to debrief and also prepare to another initiative. And for the timeline, like for instance, when it comes to when is the peak or how it is, right now we have the peaks are exactly between April and May, and then you have another peak that is between September and October, that you can see in the planning framework just there. But in the same way, we acknowledge and understand that before most of the entities were only like the data that you have to build up the timeline was based on YouSpeak. And now with the new program and then with the new initiatives that entities are implementing, we are going to be presenting to you most likely different timeline by the end of the year in another summit to see how was the implementation, how the network was behaving when it comes to implementation of the initiative. But from now you have already in the planning the possible timelines based on the programs that you used to run before. That's exactly YouSpeak and couple of national initiatives. Basically, let's make things clear. It's first like this. What does it mean when you look to the process and you look also for the timeline? You notice that actually you can only implement maximum of 3 initiatives and considerable. Like I recommend to have only 2 per year. And this is not, I don't mean like just MC. It's mainly like the LCs because they're the ones that implement it. So basically, when it comes to LCs, it means that an entity can choose to run only one program, like 2 or 3 times. And an entity can choose to run different programs 2 or 3 times. An entity can choose to run only one program only once. That's only one program, and this is it. Like only one in RedSpeak or only one cycle for Heading for the Future. This is it. But also like this volume of this frequency of implementation of the program can also affect or give to you a direction of how can be your HR structure. For instance, for you as an MC, doesn't have a lot of high effect because in the end of the day, you are selected and your MC took in consideration the guideline, the MC structure guideline that was focused in those principles, that was entity focus, what was the focus, or the financial capacity and the revenue diversification. But however, like for instance, there are entities that have BD and EwA mixed or either marketing and EwA mixed. But within that, it means that basically the entity has less volume for EwA, planning to have less volume and less focus. And if you adjust an MCVP EwA that's here, it means that your entity is planning to have more focus and high volume. And how this structure can be affected with the frequency is just like, for instance, if an LC if an LC runs more than 2 initiatives, that's at least 2 initiatives per year, it means that LC will be having 1 LCVP EwA. But if it's less than that, it means if it's less, especially like 1 initiative, that LC should be having only project manager that's going to be working on that. So it's going to be project manager, either a project manager Heading for the Future or either project manager for the national initiative. In this, like normally this experience takes around 6 months. And for IR, we talk about timeline, we talk about HR, and then for IR management, for you itself, you can facilitate IR inside or outside of the region, and you look for instance, how you can collaborate with entities for having youth engagement, like similar youth engagement coordination. Also, you can collaborate entities to do co-sales and revenue diversification for those two. For Heading for the Future itself, I say that there is already a space of the program implementation that you should have IR, that's exactly in the networking, but you might choose also to have an entity partner since the beginning, or for more collaboration that's not only networking. Questions? We have 5 minutes for questions.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
I want to ask the the way that I are involved in the EwA initiative. I don't get it.
Yeah, the way how IR can be involved, actually we have in the academy, but it starts firstly, it's in the planning. You can have an entity, like an entity partner that can start with you for co-planning. It means, for instance, AIAC in Vietnam and AIAC in, let's say AIAC in Sri Lanka, they decided to implement one initiative. But for you two entities, for you to have this decision of implementing it, is because they have a couple of similarities. It's either the leads that you're receiving for partners are similar, like the request and comes from what they are looking for in young people, and also like the preference of young people, like the challenge that they are facing are also similar. You can start by building one initiative, or you can use one initiative that's implemented in the region and you can build it together, or it can be just implement heading for the future. So when you're doing planning of the initiative, you should do the planning together, like you can plan it youth and everything. And normally in this scenario, according to now geographically, I would say that remote, the higher recommended is virtual collaboration. It means that all your program that you're developing, it's going to be virtual delivery. So you have planning, you do sales, you share contracts of sharing model. Your partners understand that they are going to more than one entity. It's a collaboration between two entities. They have these young people that are target from these spaces. So this is how it can happen. But also can happen exactly, especially here I have an example of Heading for the Future because it's the only program that has a specific one area of IR. It's for the networking. So it means AIAC in Vietnam decided to do Heading for the Future, plan for Heading for the Future. And then when it comes to the networking, you design the agenda of the networking and you select, I want AIAC in Japan, and then AIAC in Sri Lanka to be part of networking. So it means that when I decide that, it means that I will talk with the you are responsible from there and say that this is the agenda that I'm proposing. So I'd like to have if you could promote with the young people, and this is what you like to provide. It's either like sharing spaces, or either like it's basically the networking is where you have the sharing space when it comes to what are the youth issues, what are the skills that are happening from one country to another for the development, where you have more people like sharing with each other. So you design the agenda and you share them also. But my recommendation is, if you are doing that, if you are looking for Heading for the Future, as soon as you plan it, you should already inform the entity so that they can also collaborate with you in terms of promotion. Cool. Any more questions? So what is your role as an NCP that's responsible for EwA operations? First thing is the synergy. Something that you need to take into consideration is that you need to have a synergy even since planning, even before planning. You need to have a synergy already planned, like especially in this process that you are doing the preparation for planning. I think touching upon the routine between EwA, BD, marketing, and finance. If you are EwA and BD, it means that you just need to include the marketing and the finance. And then for the operation itself, when you're planning, you're going to be planning with the metrics, and all the tracking process should be based on that metrics that I was mentioned, the metrics for youth and metrics for partners. For planning process, make sure that you see, for instance, if you're planning to do a national initiative, make sure that you sit with your marketing to evaluate how is it the market, how applicable are the initiatives that you're looking forward to the market, and then you take it for your planning for the decision making if it's something that you want to implement. And during planning, because the synergy are with EwA, BD, marketing, and finance. In planning, you should have a synergy with finance, TM, and OD because of the change management. Especially if you're running a new program, you need to plan already how you want to restructure your entity. Overall, all EwA operations are similar to any other department of operation inside the entity, so you need to look it in the same way. As I was mentioned, there are a couple of documents that are released. I shared with you the Heading for the Future document, and now I'm just remind you that there is for national innovation or national initiatives, you have EwA, and then overall for the principle, you have the EwA principles in the global compendium. Main call to actions is that if you are an entity that's working on national initiative, you should always book prior to have this, demonstrate your interest in having this setting point of exactly like you sharing how are you planning to implement. But this is the same also not only for national initiative, but even for heading for the future. You need to work in the restructure of your entity to be able to implement your national innovation, or either to be able to run heading for the future. You need to check all the onboarding materials of heading for the future. And for national innovation, I believe that by now you checked already because the materials were released in April. But if you didn't check, you just check it, and you need to start the designing process of your initiative and creating the business model. Overall, if you want to be part of the entities that are going to be working with national initiative or either or either heading for the future, just contact your regional manager. That's exactly prior to give you like the access of the link, and then you can subscribe yourself there. That's all. Like in the end of the day, make sure that, especially if you are running a national initiative, make sure that it's aligning with the principles, and make sure that any kind of innovation that you're doing in your entity is totally sustainable and doesn't affect your entity in long term, but yes, it helps the entity development. And this is all from my side. We have 5 minutes if you have any kind of questions. I'm open for any question, any kind of concern that you're having, especially when it comes to implementing EwA in your entity. But yes, I am done. Thank you so much.
Nice. Thank you so much, Dee.